In this video, I'll be ranking every single comic book movies released in 2024. Buckle up, folks, because this will be an interesting ranking. Before I begin, I just want to say this is based on my opinion, so if you disagree, just comment it down below. Also, I'll only be ranking the theatrically released films, so the DC animated movies won't be included on this list. Anyways, without further ado, let's begin and end this whole thing quickly. In last place is The Crow. First of all, I haven't seen the original film, nor I have any prior knowledge of the Crow's lore and characters before going into this. But even without any prior knowledge of the source material and watching this film with an open mind, I gotta say, it's still bad. It failed to deliver on a lot of its promises. If you're looking for a romance film, you're not gonna get that here because the chemistry of Bill Skarsgård and FK Twigs was similar to water and oil. I love both of these artists, but they just don't click here. The movie is also an action revenge flick, but the plot was so generic and the action was so bland that even the blood and carnage couldn't save it. And this movie also failed on being an entertaining comic book movie because it's just boring. Next are Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter. Thank God the Sony Spider-Man universe is finally over. As for both of these films, they go back and forth in my lists, but that isn't saying much because at the end of the day, they're basically the same thing. They did everything wrong with the entire comic book movie problem in that there were films that was released because of one thing and one thing only: money. And the films, they don't have any redeeming qualities. They're just pointless cash grabs, that's it. Speaking of pointless cash grabs, I will never forgive Sony for making these shitty Spider-Man villain movies with no Spider-Man than giving Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 3. And I will never get why Venom completed his trilogy. What a world we're living in. At least this film was better than 1 and 2, but that isn't saying much because instead of being an entertaining ensemble with all these symbiotes, all we got was a forgettable run-of-the-mill road trip movie. Again, I will never fully understand the thought process behind these movies. Same thing goes to Joker Folie. At least this movie's bold, memorable, and totally unique when you compare it to all the other comic book movies released this year. Some elements of the movie worked. I think the soundtrack's memorable. The courtroom aspects of it were handled well, and both Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga gave good performances. But the script and story was just not it. The movie dragged too, and the ending was just questionable. Why the hell would you do that? I also thought it's questionable that a Hellboy film was released this year and a lot of people didn't even know that this film exists. But I found it delightful that I enjoyed a cheaply produced Hellboy movie than a $200 million Joker musical. This movie's got the character of Hellboy right. There's great atmosphere, genuinely creepy moments, and the entire thing was consistent. It does look like a fan film, the CGI sucked, and even if the movie's short, it dragged. It'll never be as excellent as Guillermo del Toro's films, but at least it's better than the 2019 one, in my opinion. Again, this movie may look horrible to some, but when you compare it to the films below this list, this movie worked because the creators totally understood the source material and the character. But without any competition, Deadpool and Wolverine is at first place for the best comic book movie of 2024. I know some people are kind of mixed with this one, and I totally get where the criticisms are coming from. But after many rewatches, this movie still slaps. From the opening credits to the final battle, this movie is pretty entertaining. Not to mention, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were a match made in heaven. The chemistry and the fucking bromance was off the charts with this one. The villain, Cassandra Nova, was one of the better pure villains that the MCU gave us. The pointless cameos were fun and the emotional anchor was there, and I love how this film balanced the fun and the sad moments really well. So there you go. This is my ranking for all the comic book movies of 2024. This was possibly the worst year of comic book movies in recent memory. The TV shows were excellent though. But I hope 2025 will be a far better year. I think it will be, and I'm sure it will be. We'll be getting Superman and Fantastic Four and, a bunch of other stuffs, but I think it will be good. Anyways, that's all. Bye.